Okay, everyone, Rick and Morty fans were thrown a bone this week during their long, open-ended wait for Season 4 in the form of another Adult Swim April Fool's prank. Last year, Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon released the Season 3 premiere episode. This year, it was a parody episode called Bushworld Adventures.
It's amazing.
It's a bizarre reimagining of the show created by Australian animator Michael Cusack, who made the popular YouTube series Damo and Darren, and animated last month Rick and Morty themed Run the Jewels music video. That was awesome. So yes, obviously Bushworld Adventures is not a Rick and Morty episode. It's not canon. The characters look way different. They have creepy eyelids. Rick is crazy jacked. Roiland isn't doing the voices, obviously. Everyone's just an extreme version of themselves that keeps referencing Australian stuff. Rick takes Morty on a trip to the Australian city of Bendigo to find his green cube, during which they cross paths with a bush wizard who looks like Jerry but isn't, but then is kind of, and then they also meet a giant named Uncle Barry, and
which would be
Doggy.
Now as an Australian you don't say Barry, it would have been Baz or Bazza.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I'm like
debunked.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, if you just want to see Rick scream at Morty and put him in danger and sexually humiliate him and make a few meta references to Rick's disrespect of bureaucrats and wubba lubba dub dub and accidental giant murder and sons with scary faces and a gross little callback to the original Doc and Marty pilot. If you really know your Rick and Morty history, this is definitely fun to watch. It might make you miss the show, which has not actually had its 4th season officially approved yet by Adult Swim. Justin Roiland tweeted saying that they were just waiting on the network to find more ways to make money from the series.
How are you not
Szechuan
making
sauces.
money from
It's the biggest hit
Rick
they've
and
ever
Morty?
had.
Merch,
and there's so much merch already out there. Okay, well, the mayor of Bendigo in real life, that was a destination in this episode, was shown Bushworld Adventures, and she wasn't familiar with Rick and Morty, and she said she was quite staggered by the vulgar humor. And after Google search results for the city shot up after this episode, she admitted that any publicity was good publicity, but that Bendigo is nothing like what was displayed in the episode.
Town.
Is it kind of boring?
It's a slower. It's not a capital
It's
C.
slower.
In the episode, Bendigo is like a barren wasteland. Now, Cusack admits that he's never actually been to the city. He just picked Bendigo because the name sounded funny.
You can pee in the bush without getting a snake bite.
Yeah.
You can. And if anything, it would bite your ankle first.
Not in Bushworld Adventures. Well, what'd you guys think of this episode? Did it live up to your Rick and Morty expectations?
It scared me more than most of them did. Yeah, it
It made me feel
frightening.
uncomfortable.
It was great
Yeah.
though. It's like, look, I'm a U. My body left and it went in a U, or whatever he's
It's
saying.
a ute.
A car?
It's short for utility truck.
You don't
Okay.
even know. You're asking
Utility.
us, so we don't know.
Utility truck. Ute.
For me, this felt like what I imagine people who don't really like Rick and Morty or don't ever watch it is for every episode of Rick and Morty, where it's just like this old man screaming at a little boy and trying to kill him, and there's a lot of gross out humor.
The best is the intro where he's just screaming.
Yeah.
So it's
And they're
such
like,
an
he's tired of
angry.
your adventures. Leave him alone.
Wait, what was it? I was having a Morty sleep.
I was having a little Morty, so get in the car.
And he's like so jacked. His arm is so big.
Yeah.
I converted my portal
There
gun.
are a few things that
A real
happened.
gun.
There's a few sayings I was like, nailed it. Like I understood everything. Even if like sometimes I'm like, oh, we don't really use truth as much anymore. That's like my pay respects. But when it gets weird, I mean, that's why people love Rick and Morty. I don't like it, and I'm like, what?
I did not like this. I did not care for it. I love Rick and Morty.
Oh.
I liked about 5 minutes of this, and then
It's only 11.
I know, yeah. Well, honestly, it's like absurdist humor. Like,
Yeah.
it can be very hit or miss for me at least. And
Put
so
your
it was,
witchetty grab. Put your witchetty grab on your little sausage.
yeah, like around there. But also, it's like 5 minutes of a very clear game that I think is very funny, which is the idea that for those first 5 or 6 minutes, it was also like, is Rick not good at science? And like it's all in his head because he's like, we'll go to another dimension, but it's like down the street, and like his portal gun is just a normal gun. And I thought that was a really fun thing to play with, this idea that like, oh, Rick just thinks that like all this like adventure stuff is happening, but he's just like crazy man
With a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then eventually, like, no, he does have stuff, and there are portals and stuff, and it just kind of like lost some inspiration and just went anywhere.
The Dougie part in the middle with like the grub and everything. That was like the least interesting part. And then when it got to to Uncle Barry, like that got fun again, and then it ended kind of strong.
Me hubby's dead.
But it's his dementia.
Dementia.
His dementia.
Yeah, if you, I think in order to like this, you have to like really, really love troll humor, like just to troll, just like we know what the joke is, and we're just like making fun of it now. And Rick and Morty does do a lot of the real series does a lot of that, and sometimes they're really great about it. Sometimes I think, especially in season 3, there were times where it's like, okay, you've done like too much of it. Like 30% of the episode is that now, when like I think the writers just start to get a little bored with their own premise. And I think this was all of that. So I appreciate that it was only 11 minutes long, because I think any longer I would have gotten tired of it.
I thought it needed to be 6. I think also part of the problem is that they're doing it to Rick and Morty. Imagine if they did it to The Simpsons or something, right? Something that's a little bit more like traditional and straightforward, but still very comedic. But they're like, imagine if The Simpsons went off the rails. It's like Rick and Morty goes off the rails. Like,
it already
Rick
does.
is suicidal.
What if it didn't have rules though, or story, or structure, or anything?
Sure.
It's not. You never would ask for that, but that's what we got.
Yeah, but I love seeing it on stuff that you wouldn't expect it from, and
it's better that way. Yeah.
Well, let us know what you thought about this Bushworld Adventures Rick and Morty episode. Do you think it can sustain you through the next 2 to 8 years before another season comes? Subscribe to New Rockstars for all of our Rick and Morty coverage. We actually did breakdowns of all the episodes of season 3 and a bunch of other videos about jokes that you might have missed, but knowing Rick and Morty fans, you didn't miss anything. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.